Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me as one of your resource speakers for this webinar. And I am also thankful that you've assigned me with the topic education because I believe it is important for us to talk about the issue of mental health in the context of education. As we all know, lots of changes have occurred in how our society works. We were only allowed to go outside if necessary, and as to buy food and medicine. We were required to wear face mask and face shield. Our transportation system has become restricted, and our interaction with our family and friends has become limited. These changes, although necessary for the survival of mankind, have unfortunately contributed to the problems that we are facing right now. Now, one of the changes which some of us might have overlooked is the change in how our educational system works. And yes, I am talking about this new platform of learning called online learning. Although this change is the most practical way to keep our students learning in the middle of this crisis, this has been causing mental health problems to them, which affects even their very own school performance. So for the learning objectives this afternoon, we will be aware of the mental health status of our students right now. We'll be able to know the factors contributing to the mental health problems of our students. We'll be able to know the best coping mechanisms. No, of course, it's very important. Good. But before we will delve into the topic proper, no, maybe it's better to define first unsa man dining mental health. No? According to Republic Act number 11036, otherwise known as Mental Health Act, it refers to a state of well-being in which the individual realizes one's own abilities and potential. So a person who is mentally healthy is self-aware. No, aware siya sa iyang self. He knows or she knows his or her abilities and potential. So for example, there is a person who hates music so much. No? Grabe din niya kahit ang music. He does not know how to sing. And then, however, since wala siya self-awareness and because of the pressure of his family, he joined a music club. So what do you think is the result? No, he would have struggles or more struggles compared to those people who love music. So you need to be self-aware. Second, scopes adequately with the normal stresses of life, displays resilience in the face of extreme life events. So a person who is mentally healthy, of course, can cope up with normal stresses of life and displays resilience. No, it's very common for us Filipino gani ang kaning pagka-resilient. No, in the face of calamity, for example, typhoon. No, makita ninyo during the news, instead nga makakita ka sa mga tao nga naguul, usahay gani makita pa nimo nga naglangoy-langoy pa sa baha. No, actually, that's a good sign of being resilient. Works productively and fruitfully and is able to make positive contribution to the community. So of course, a person who is mentally healthy is functional in the society. No, he is able to produce something for the society. No, as little as you can lang. For example, ikaw karon, sir, dili ba ko functional since I am still a student? No, the answer is no. Because being a student right now, you are trying to learn, you're even attending this webinar no, for you to learn something, you are already functional in the context of society. So it is your own little way. So what is the mental health status of the students right now? So based on news reports, our students are experiencing prolonged and high level of stress, which in turn results to burnout. Although stress has always been there even during the face-to-face classes, there are a number of stressors that have emerged which were not there before. No, so ato daw mga students karon nag-experience og high level and prolonged stress which results to burnout. So ato siyang i-differentiate unsa madining stress and unsa madining burnout. So basically, the main difference lang gid ani nila is that burnout is the result of a high level and prolonged stress. So for example, student ka and you are experiencing a high level of stress because you are bombarded with activities, and then it is already for a long time, no, for the whole semester naka-stress, it could result to burnout. No, mo na siya gitawag na to nga burnout. So let's look at the specific differences between the two concepts. No, in stress, you over-engage. No, you over-engage in your activity. No, whenever you do your activities, sobraan na pud kay ka engage because you are already stressed. In burnout, you disengage na, no, wala na kay paki. I don't care anymore. I don't care, dili na ko mubuhat ana kasi wala na ko'y pag-asa, no, ingana ang mindset sa usa ka tawo nga burnout. Sa stress, your emotions are high, no, maybe you are crying, no, muhila ka, you display tantrums because sobra na kay kaka-stress. But in burnout, your emotions are blunted, no, numb na ka, wala na kay ma-feel nga emotions. In stress, there is a loss of energy. No, at the end of the day, mawala ang imuhang energy because of extreme stress. But in burnout, you lost motivation na. No, imagine in stress, energy lang gid nimo ang mawala. No, which is pwede ra jud mabalik in some way. No, however, loss of motivation na wala na kay motivation to do anything. In stress, there is a sense of urgency. So whenever you are bombarded with activities na kay mura kag maratol ba, no? Maratol ka just to do the activity in the shortest amount possible or shortest amount of time possible. No, even though nga wala na kay energy to do it, imo jung pugson ang kagalingon because you are very stressed na. And then in burnout, you have a sense of hopelessness, no, wala na kay pag-asa, no, wala na ko'y pag-asa para makapasar this semester, so I will not do anything na, no, na siya mga burnout nga people. In stress, a large physical toll, no, drain kay ka physically, but in burnout you have a large emotional toll. In stress, there is obsession and worry, no, kato kung gisulti ganina, you are very anxious, no, anxious kay ka just to do the activity in the shortest amount of time possible. While in burnout, you do not care anymore. No? Amo to atong gisulti pod. Common reasons that make online learning stressful. So actually, daghan kayo og reasons nganong ang online learning is stressful. But let's just focus on these main or common 5 reasons why online learning is stressful. So first, students have to submit outputs on a daily or a weekly basis. No, compared mo good sa face-to-face classes wherein the teacher can just easily observe their students whether they are listening to the discussions or not. In the online learning, it's very difficult for us to do that. No, that's why teachers have a hard time observing the students whether or not they are listening to the discussion. So what the teachers do in order to check the students' understanding is to require them to submit outputs after every lesson or class. No, it's our way man good to check your understanding on the lesson. No, a very good example ani is kanang gitawag nato og narrative report no, sa ato ang NSTP. So we required you to submit narrative report not because we want to give you another responsibility, no, dili na siya ingana. So we required you to submit narrative report for us to check whether you understand the lessons discussed previously. No, it's our way to check kung nasabtan ba jud nimo ang lessons. Okay, number 2, internet connection problems. As we know, the Philippines has a slow internet speed, no. I think murag mo agree man jud tanan siguro ani, no, bisag unsa pa ang internet service provider nga ato ang gigamit. However, in order to learn properly in the online class, you need a good internet connection. So imagine you are listening to the discussion of the teacher, no, nga very difficult kayo ang lesson niya but you are struggling because you have a very slow internet connection. So of course, it will bring you stress. Number 3, technical problems and power interruption. No matter what gadget a student is using, may it be a smartphone, laptop, desktop, or tablet, and no matter what brand it is, it will always be subject to these unpredictable problems. No, bisan unsa pa ka brand new pa na ang imuhang gadget, maka-experience jud ang tanan aning technical problems or power interruption. But nindot gani karon no kay ang mga power interruptions naa naman jay i-post daan ang kaning electricity provider no, nga mga companies. Noisy neighborhood is the number 4. So I think most of us, if not all, can agree that our residences are not as learning conducive as our school. No? School is designed for learning. It is quiet, clean, and everything is orderly. While our residences are just almost the opposite. No? Ato ang mga silingan nga nagkaraoke, no? Nagkaraoke sila sa gawas. Usahay pa gani non-human elements, no? Na ay dogs nga nagbark, na ay chicken nga nagclap, no, naapay mga construction sites nga grabing kasaba. No, it would also add stress to the students. The number 5, robotic human interaction. compared to face-to-face classes man good, whenever you experience frustrations, no, or you underwent a very stressful week, stressful kayo ang imo ang simana. At the end of the day or at the end of the week, you can just invite your classmates to hang out. No? Pwede kayo mukaon mo lamig sa gawas, no? Maglaag mo just to relieve from the stress. And then provide mo og emotional support to each other. No, however, right now in the online class, no, you cannot just easily do that. No? I think you know that. Some of your classmates gani kay wala gani karon sa city, no, naadjud sa lagyo nga lugar. So you cannot easily do this na. So you interact with your classmates through chat or video chat, hence a robotic human interaction because you're just actually looking at the screen of your computer and pressing the keyboard. Although it has emoticons, it is still far from the pleasure of seeing the actual smiles of your friends in person. Okay, so we've discussed ang mga common reasons ganong stressful ang online learning. But let's proceed to the next topic, the very important one. What is the best coping mechanism? No? Unsa may best ka coping mechanism? So it is a very simple phrase, but it is a very powerful pud nga tool in the field of psychology. Focus on the things that you can control. No? Change your mindset. Instead of draining your energy into something that's beyond your control, no, mga things na wa jud kay mabuhat, no, why not invest your energy into something that you can control, that something that you can do something about. Okay, so to explain it further, let's dissect it one by one to the reasons I discussed earlier. So first, in terms of the increased number of outputs. So instead of hating your teachers, no, ngano man ni siya magyaw-yaw dayon ka or usahay pa i-post pa sa Facebook, no, ngano man ni ako ang teacher, no, feeling major, no, ingana dayon ang ato ang yaw-yaw. So instead of doing that, why not learn time management? Okay, dili man sad nato makontrol pod ang pag-require sa teacher to submit narrative report or other outputs, no, kay dapat man sad mo submit ato in order for the teacher to check your understanding. So if ato i-focus atong energy into something that we can control, morning, let's learn time management. And let me give you some tips on how to manage your time. Okay, so first, manage it according to the deadline. So for example, you have an activity due tomorrow and an activity due next week. So of course, you have to do the activity which is due tomorrow because ugma naman na siya i-submit mo, dapat sa na nimong buhaton jud una. Ayaw siya dungan na. Kaya in a way, ang katong ikaduha nga output next week pa man to or next days pa man to, no? Following days pa. B, no, manage according to difficulty. If you have an activity nga for you, it's very difficult good for you to do it. No? Para nimo, you would require longer time for you to do it. And then you have this other activity nga sayon kaayo, then maybe it's better to do the difficult activity first because you still have a lot of energy in your system. No? At least inibuhat nimo sa difficult activity, you still have a lot of energy in your system, maybe makahelp pa na nga ma-easy ang imuhang pagbuhat sa difficult na activity. So and then next dayon imo din tong buhaton ng easy nga activity anyway, no, sayon naman sad siya, dali ra kay to nako mahuman. Dili kay ka ma-stress. Letter C, know your priorities. So for example, no, wala na jud nimo natabang ang imong mga activities, porti na jud daghana. Daghana jud kay kag tun-anan, ani gamay na lang jud kay kag time. Then that's the time you should know your priority. So unsa man ang imong priority? Of course, imo na siyang i-rank, no? Dapat ang imo yung priority nga subjects is your major. No, major man jud ang imong priority, but it does not mean nga dili pod nimo or i-take for granted pod nimo ang mga minor subjects, no? Kay of course mahagbong pod ka if dili pod nimo mapasar ang mga minor subjects nimo. But what I am saying lang is whenever gani gamay na lang jud kayo kag time, gamay na lang jud kayo kag resources, no, to the point nga usa na lang jud ka activity ang imong makayang mabuhat ana nga time frame. No, of course you should know your priority. Letter D, and most importantly, do not procrastinate. Never procrastinate. Good. Start doing it right away. There is actually a research by Butel et al. 2016 that the more you procrastinate daw, the higher your anxiety becomes. No? Maybe usahay no magprocrastinate ugma na lang to nako buhaton kay para dili ko ma-stress, no, ingana dayon ang ato ang mindset. But actually according to research mas musaka pa gani ang imong stress if mag-procrastinate ka. It's because in your unconscious mind, no, bisan pag imo pa nang gitago ang imong mga buhatonon, no, nag-enjoy ka, naglaag ka, but in your unconscious mind nagsulti man na siya nga you still have to do a lot of things, no, magsige man na siya og sulti. So bisan pa og imong gitago ang imong responsibility, it will bring you stress gyud, no, unconsciously. Number two, about internet connection problems. Now, whenever you've experienced this, try to ask your relatives or neighbors who happen to have a good internet connection. No? Instead of hating your internet service provider, no, mag-post din ta sa Facebook, magyaw-yaw ta, nga naman yung company X, hinay magkay ni sila internet nga gi-provide, no, nga nagbayad man mi og sakto, and so on and so forth. No? Grabe kita yaw-yaw. Instead of doing that, since you cannot control that, why not focus your energy to something that you can control? So honestly, try, maybe it's better to try asking your relatives or neighbors who happen to have a good internet connection to let you connect even just for a while. For example, you're attending a class and then murag nasaag na ka ba kay hinay jud kayo ang imong internet connection. So instead nga magyaw-yaw ka, no, why not gawas na lang, no, pangita og kanang friend nimo, relative nimo or silingan nimo nga pwede kang makakonect even kadiyot lang jud, no. Kanilang jud nga klase, kanilang jud nga klase nang, kanilang jud nga klase sir, no, pwede ko mo connect lang kadiyot kay important kay ni nga lesson. But if ever you don't have any relative or neighbor who has an internet connection, then try to ask your teacher or classmate for their notes and do your self-study. No, if ever wala na jud kay choice kay wala kay silingan, wa baron ni sugot nga mo connect ka kadiyot, example. So since ang only way na lang nga imuhang makontrol is to ask notes na lang from your teacher or your classmates and do your own self-study. And then inform your teacher, no, nga na-out ka sa klase because you have a very slow internet connection. I'm sure they will understand if you just provide proof, no, sa may pasabot na to aning proof, no, maybe imong i-picture ang inyong modem nga wala na siya connection or i-screenshot nimo ang imong phone nga wala na siya signal, no, I'm sure jud ang teacher nimo maka-understand jud nimo na excuse jud ka ang tagaan ka og notes. Third, technical problems and power interruptions. So if you can afford it, if ikaw jud ang klase sa estudyante nga kaya jud nimo mopalit og backup nga gadget, then buy an alternative gadget so that whenever ang imuhang laptop no, maghang, so at least na kay backup nga gadget. If ever you can afford it, which is I know, no, I know gid nga most students dili mo jud maka-afford mo buy o alternative gadgets, then whenever you experience technical problems, ask your family, relatives, or friends to let you borrow their smartphones. No, basin naa sad siguro na smartphone ang imuhang parents or ang imong mga igsuon, no, nga pwede nimo mahulman even kadiyot lang. Ate, kuya, pwede ko manghuam sa imong phone kay I have to take this exam or I have to listen to the discussion of the teacher kay lisod kay ni siya nga lesson. I need to learn this in order to pass the subject. And if for some reason you can borrow from your friends or wala jay phone ang imong family, no, wala kay friends nga na smartphone, then same gyapon, no, since mao naman lang yun ang way nga imong makontrol, then reach out to your teacher or classmates for their notes and do your own self-study. And if ever, katong gisulti ganina, if ever exam siya, no, approach your teacher. No, I'm sure jud they will understand if you can just provide proof lang gid nganong na out ka, no, or wala ka naka-take sa exam. Number four, a noisy neighborhood, no, katong mga naay nagkaraoke session nga silingan or saba kayo nga animals, no. If ever saba jud kayo ang imong silingan, then the only way you can control it, no, dili man sad siguro pwede nga magyaw-yaw lang ta nga kita-kita lang, di mo na makasulbad sa problem, no. The only way nga inyong makontrol is to ask your neighbors, no, as respectfully as humbly lang, no, ayaw lang kaayo po di attack ditso, no. So as respectfully and as humbly as you can, to lower their voices, no, even just for a while. Ate, kuya, pwede nimo iubusa ang volume sa inyong music because I am currently listening to the discussion of the teacher or I am currently taking an exam. Pwede kayo, but if ever you don't have the guts to do that because maybe maawawon ka or mahadlok ka sa imong silingan because kanang mga maldito gito sila, for example lang. So or if ever, no, ang source sa noise is non-human elements, no, for example kani atong gibutang diri animals, no, vehicles or construction sites, Then try to look for an area in your house which has minimal noise. No, if ever dili nimo ma-eradicate, if you can't eradicate it, then at least you can minimize it. No, mao man na ato ang makontrol in order to solve the problem. Okay, number five, robotic human interaction. No, so right now, since we are still in the online class, no, we are all feeling lonely. No, we attend our classes, only nag-face rata sa ato ang screen, sa ato ang computer, or nagtanaw rata sa atong cellphone. Compared magud sa face-to-face classes wherein you can talk with your seatmates, no, with your classmates that can somehow elevate your emotions. But right now, it is very robotic. No? So, mo na, sometimes, musaka pa ato ang stress tungod ani and due to that new platform of learning, sometimes we will feel lonely and we will struggle so much that we can't handle it anymore. So the only thing that is within your control is to reach out. Okay, reach out to your family, reach out to your friends, reach out to your relatives, and if ever for some reason or another you cannot reach out to them, please know that the mental health practitioners are here for you. You are not alone. Okay, and by saying that, I want to share a video about a program called Tawag Paglaom. Okay, please take note of those numbers presented in the screen. So once again, thank you so much for having me as one of your resource speakers for this afternoon. And I hope I have imparted some knowledge to you. And please always remember you're not alone in this battle. Thank you.